Shalom. Welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad of Delmer, together with my co-host, Mark Ronan, just Statewide News Service, jbiztechvalley.com, and now columnist for the Jewish Press.
Right, and I have a column called Albany Beat, and we try to connect what's going on in the government to the Jewish community, and I'm having fun doing that. So there's a lot going on.
As long as you're having fun.
I'm having fun.
Hope the politicians are having fun.
No, they're not. But anyway, today we have a first-time guest with us, Maggie Mancinelli-Cahill.
Perfect.
Did I get that right?
Yes, that's perfect.
And she's the Managing Artistic Director for Capitol Rep, also known as The Rep on Pearl Street.
That's right.
Well, I'm sure she's having a lot of fun being in the acting business.
I always have a lot of fun.
Well, you said, I read that you wanted to go into acting, but you didn't like it, and then you went into more of the
Where do you read this stuff about me?
He's a news reporter, Maggie. You've got to get the story.
I got quotes. Am I wrong?
No, that's true.
Okay.
Many years ago.
Yes.
I haven't acted since I was in college. I really didn't like it because, as my mother said, I enjoy telling people what to do. So directing was much more suited to my personality than acting.
and I leave it in your good hands for that. So, and you do put on some wonderful performances over at Cap Rep. I mean, I've been there several times over the years. I'm in the community here over 30 years, and I just really enjoy I mean, I was surprised. You have, what, 300 seats?
300 seats, yes.
And how cozy and warm and fuzzy, and there's never a bad seat in that house there. I mean, you get the back row, and you feel like you're still in the first row of any other theater. I mean, it's just amazing. So, kudos.
Maggie, I wanted to ask, what about the youth? There's just so many stimulus that we know. Of course, they're watching the Jewish View on the cable TV. But besides that, being serious about it, do you find that the youth are drawn to plays? There's just TV and video games and internet.
Yeah, but you have a whole education portion.
I was going to say, one of, a lot of people know this, but others don't realize that when you are an arts organization, as big as Capitol Rep, that one of our most important things that we do is our education program, and we have productions that go out into communities. I know this for a fact. We went to 99 schools this year. Because we're sending them thank you notes. So I happen to know how many schools came to Capitol Rep or we went out to, right? And so we are writing them personally because we are so thankful for teachers who believe in the arts. But through those 99 schools that have participated in our programs, we've reached this year approximately 13,000 students. And for us, that is really a critical part of our mission, to make sure that we are doing programs for all generations. And it's really important in the arts right now that we're stimulating and exciting and inspiring young minds and hearts to participate in the arts. So it's one of our most important things that we do.
But with technology, you still have to stay ahead of the curve. And you still have to inspire people.
You have to be
in
relevant.
A different way now, right? You have to be relevant. A different way now than in 1950 or 60.
Well, now,
times are different.
Cutting through the clutter of that is our technology right now, the computers, the Facebook,
social media,
the tweets, all of that stuff that young kids are, and the Instagrams, this, that. Figuring out how we can be a part of their world how young people communicate is really critical. So, the theater has Facebook, we do Twitter, my younger staff, does the Instagram kind of things. They just have to show me what that is all about. But I do have a 24-year-old son, and he, says, Mom, he tells me what this stuff is so that I can be in the know. But it's really, really critical to us that we are a part of that we can message to young people that we are a part of the game and that we stay relevant in terms of the subjects that we do, so that once they've seen something at Capitol Rep, they want to come back.
I wanted to ask, you say there's, with music also, there's the classics, there's obviously Beethoven, Mozart, etc., and then they try to be innovative. So I wanted to ask you, with your repertoire, I mean, obviously there's classic great plays, classics, but on the other hand, are you putting out new ideas and new productions that have never been, or maybe never been seen, but just recently developed?
Actually, we do a wide scope of work, and in every season that we do between 6 and 8 plays. It depends on the year. We have a deep classic, and like Hamlet, we just finished Hamlet, Shakespeare's Hamlet.
Was it well attended? Was it well attended?
It was very well attended and very well received. And I think kids were amazed when they came. Actually, we had a big student matinee program for that, and added a week to our run just so that we could handle the demand for our student matinees.
Very nice.
And we also do brand new plays, and we do a collaborative project with Proctor's, who is our big affiliate, and it's called Next Act, and we call for entries of new plays every year. And I happen to know this too, because we're in the throes of doing that. The call for entries closed this week, and we have, I think, 350 plays that we will read, and we will pick 3 that we will give staged readings in the fall.
When you say we, who's the we? Is it you're included in one of those?
I am. I read all the submissions.
Plays,
it's a lot. And when somebody says, "What's the book on your, the table next to your bed?"
Yeah.
I always go, "Well, usually it's a play."
Yeah,
and this time of year, I can tell you it's many plays. But 350 plays will come in, and we will read them, and we have created these reading circles that are made up of actors who work in the community, theater faculty from colleges, theater administrators, and our staff. We have great staff, very knowledgeable at Capital Rep and Proctor's, and we all get together in these reading circles, and then we create the top 20. And then that goes to a reading group that has some of our friends in New York City on it, and then we come up with the top 3 plays.
That's pretty good.
I mean, there are some. I'm sure there are some plays that you could read the first page or 2 and know that this isn't going to work. I mean, there probably are.
You're a wise man. That's true.
I mean, everyone thinks their play is the best, but really there could be some schlock, and you just know that, okay, now we don't have to go too far with this. We don't have to go too far. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
When you watch these TV shows like American Idol, and you look at all the process that they have to go through before they narrow down to the few that they are really, I mean, these stars, these judges, you just shake your head that these are multi-million-dollar stars, and that they, with a net worth of multi-millions of dollars, and they're sitting there watching these people who aren't going to go very far, but they just think that this is the best, act that could win $1 million. So
talk about stars. That's what I want to ask. When you have put on a play, and you put it, New York, we want not maybe a superstar, but like he's saying, a star from New York City, from Broadway. You use only local talents? I mean,
no, as a matter of fact, 95% of the actors at Capital Rep come from New York City. We have a casting director in New York, and the directors who direct at Capital Rep are generally also from New York City. And I go to the casting calls with the directors, and I try as the artistic director. I rarely interfere in our casting process. But for example, with The Secret Garden, which was a musical that we did in December, that cast had more Broadway credits among its players than I think any play we've done in years. But our actors will come in, and they will have many New York credits and credits from regional theaters around the country. And then we do try, when we're an equity theater, which means we're a union theater, and when we have filled our quota of our union actors, we do open up parts to the community, and I have auditions a couple times a year so that we can see the local talent. One of the things that we really like to do, you talked about young people, is that we like to pave the way for a talented young person who is interested in becoming a professional actor. We'd like to lead them on that path, and we have, and we've.
But there's no talented old people?
Mark's looking for a job, Maggie. Over here.
Please, are you looking at me? You know, I'm not even gonna, you know, I'm not gonna answer
I know
that.
you're
you know.
leaving that alone. But you are with the League of Resident Theaters, Lord.
Yes,
Okay.
and LORT is a bargaining unit
Yeah.
made up of regional theaters from across the United States. There's 73 of us in it,
Mm-hmm.
and it includes smaller theaters like Capitol Rep all the way up to Lincoln Center. So, you know, we all get together twice a year and we talk about what's going on in the theater and their problems and our problems. And ironically, even a place like Lincoln Center or the Goodman in Chicago or LA Theater Group, these are huge theaters.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we all have the same
Issues.
issues,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
which is, you know, we're trying to do what we do with not enough money and, you know, and getting more subscribers and donors and, you know, and kids in the door.
Right.
So their audiences remain useful as time goes on, you know, so that's a wonderful group.
So you mentioned you have a son who's 24.
I do.
So how's
yes.
Andy doing?
He's great, but my heart broke this year because he moved to Los Angeles.
Oh.
He graduated from Emerson College
Yeah,
with a
Boston.
degree in film. He's not in theater, thank goodness. But he's out in Los Angeles, and I hate it. I mean, I hated him being that far away from me.
So you Skype.
We
Skype?
we Skype, but you know, we text. I mean, we text every day. You know, he's a great kid, and I have a great relationship
And
with
there's
him.
nothing
and I
wrong
miss
with
him.
Skype, you know, learning how to Skype and seeing your son.
That's right.
there,
Making
so.
sure that he, you know,
What
really
he looks
exists.
like and how
you know,
he changes.
that's right.
Because that LA crowd could really change your look.
That's right.
You know, we asked this so, you know, we have, Mark and I have, really, I think we've covered every theater in the whole Capital District. We have directors on like yourself.
Well, we didn't do Park Playhouse yet.
All right, we're getting there. We're almost
We'll
there.
get there.
Albany
Oh,
Civic-
I know, my
and Albany
goodness.
Civic Theater
He's a
we
great
didn't do
guy.
yet.
You know,
so.
but it always comes out, you know, we're talking about talent and, you know, really that's why I say the youth, because I think it's really an important part of society where a lot of people just don't feel that way, you know, saying, oh, well, how are the roads and how are the schools? Well, you know, you need extra, you know, that the culture is also, it's a major part of society.
Yes.
But, you know, saying all that, money is also part of life. So, you know, your budget, you're making it. I mean, the theater, or even I was always going to ask the theater tickets, because I, you know, some people complain to me that theater tickets, and you can understand, you know, you have a film, so you're just putting it on film. You know, you
Right.
could go to a show, but, you know, you have many actors. Hey, each time they need to get repaid, not
Right,
just, you know, you
yes.
went on one movie theater, you know, made a
Right.
movie for a month. Every night they got to be paid. So it's
That's
obviously
right.
higher expenses. But are you making it? Or?
Well, you know, we're close. We have a budget. Let me just talk straight talk for a minute. We have a budget of over $2 million annually. And with the way that our not-for-profit is structured, 50% of our budget comes from ticket sales and 50% comes from contributed income. That's corporate sponsorships, grants from private foundations, a little bit of government support, but that's really dried up. That really almost doesn't
With the
exist
government,
anymore.
The Council of the Arts.
You know,
yeah.
we do.
Ever since Kitty Carlisle Hart went away.
The dollar there is,
Yeah, and
is
Roy
small,
Goodman,
but
Goodman,
valuable.
who's the state senator from,
Right.
a Republican from Manhattan.
Right.
And he would always get my Taki Lombardi from Syracuse,
Huge
the Republican,
art
also
supporters.
was a big
Yeah.
you don't find those people in the legislature
No.
anymore who are really advocating for the arts.
Well,
so.
the buzzword now for the arts is how we drive economic development.
Yes.
And arts institutions, by and large, are catalysts for growth wherever they are. So for Capitol Rep, if you would talk to any of the restaurants around Capitol Rep, they will tell you how grateful they are that we're there. I mean, we, at Capitol Rep, because we are a regional theater, our performances, we do over 260 performances every year.
Right.
So we light the street up for our restaurants, you know. I mean, in our history, we've done now almost, I think, 8,000 performances since theater was founded.
In
But
1981, we
in
should say.
1981,
Okay.
yeah. But to answer your question, do we make it? Really, I will be honest with you. How we make it depends on our annual fund, and our annual fund is individuals, and so when we have a good response to our annual fund, we do better. And right now we're in the throes of, you know, heating up our annual fund and making sure that we hit that number by the end of December. But it doesn't go away. It's every year it's 50%. Our tickets, on the other hand, one of the reasons that we are so heavily supported by grants and sponsorships and our annual fund and our wonderful board of trustees is because our ticket prices are actually only half of what they would be if we were on Broadway. So we're not a for-profit, we're a not-for-profit. So our tickets range from $20 to about $55.
That's fairly reasonable for a live performance.
Well, and when you think about it, I go to the movies now. A 3D movie costs about $16 on a Saturday afternoon. And I was amazed that by the time I bought my popcorn and
Soda,
Coke, which
right.
cost me as much as the movie did, I actually spent more than someone would if they bought one of our $20 special tickets at Capitol
And went
Rep.
to the concession stand.
And went to the concession
That's
stand
right.
for a Coke.
That's right.
So, I think that sometimes I worry that people aren't going to our websites or calling us up because they're afraid that the ticket prices are
that's what I was
expensive,
saying.
you know?
People, well, they maybe went to Broadway.
Oh, yes, and they're very,
so,
yeah.
So they think, oh, a play. I can't go to a play.
I can't
Plays
afford
are
it.
expensive. Yeah.
Right.
How much is there a cooperation where you advertise in, let's say, Proctor's playbill and SPAC's playbill and, you know, other, I mean, do you go out there and put ads in other art houses, you know, playbills, or is that verboten because it's...
No. I mean, you know,
I mean,
really,
it seems like you're a family of
well,
arts.
the thing that we all know is that once somebody goes to any of us, they're likelier to say, oh, what else is there? That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
So we all work together. We have an agreement, for example, with all the summer theaters, and there's lots of wonderful summer theaters in the Capital Region. I mean, really, we have an embarrassment of riches in the summer.
We do.
It's incredible. And we all work together and share ads in the summer. So you'll look at a playbill from Barrington Stage or Berkshire Theater Group or you know, and you'll see a placement for other theaters, and you know you'll see us in probably 90% of those.
Okay,
so
good.
that we work together.
I was just
to
curious.
make sure that happens. Yeah,
Because that's a one way of getting out the word that your ticket prices are between 20 and 55.
we really try to get that message out
And like
there.
I said,
you know?
the $20 tickets, being that it's such a cozy theater.
right.
And I won't say small,
Oh,
but
they're-
it's a
they're
cozy
great
theater.
seats.
The $20 seats are terrific.
Right,
I mean,
right.
you know.
And student tickets, to answer you, if you don't come to a student matinee with your school, a student, and that's any student, a student of life. I mean, if you were 60, whatever years old, and you were a student, you could get a student ticket from us for $16, any show, all season. So
Just
we
show your
really try
AARP
to make it
Just show the
accessible.
AARP card and you'll get the
We
ticket.
don't have that, but you have to show your student ID.
Okay. I wanted to ask you about this STEM, science, technology.
Yes.
What's the E? And then math, but I forgot what the E was. Environment?
It's not economics.
Economics?
No, it might be
Education?
economics.
I don't know. So you have the STEM, but I've
Yeah,
heard...
we like it, yes.
I've heard that there's STEAM, that it
Yes.
should be STEAM, to add the arts in there.
Yes.
Any movement on that? Or?
You know, all of the arts think that. I'd like to talk about that because for just a second, because science, I think, is really critical. And we know that math is critical. And we know that, these are really important subjects so that we can problem solve for the future. But the reason that the arts think that it should be STEAM is because when you apply yourself in the arts, two things happen. One, you work in teams, and the unit of work in the future it's all teams. If you talk to anybody who works at Apple or any of the research laboratories around, they all work in units. And that team experience you can get in the arts better than anything that we know of. And secondly, you gain critical thinking skills.
Yes,
and critical thinking skills are when you read a fact and you put them together and you make sense of that. And sometimes you do that by, that's right, that's right. He's showing me that there's team
in STEAM.
So I know white doesn't come out on the camera as well.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
I think, and that's right. So the teamwork aspect of the arts. When we take kids into our summer programs, for example, we have some great summer programs coming up. We're not looking for kids who necessarily are going to end up being professional actors, but the team experience of having a group of very smart people in a room that are all trying to go for one goal in a short amount of time. They all are striving for that one thing, and they all respect each other because they have to collaborate, because that's how it works in the arts. We have been told over and over and over again how important that is to the critical thinking skills of young people. So I think it's really important that we don't forget that the arts, English, putting words together is important.
That's why I'm very, of course I like the Judaica subject, but like you say, you have to be a whole person. And it seems like the school system, math, 2 + 2 = 4, you get they're not computers. People aren't computers. And, the first thing they always cut is sports and arts. That's like you say, they don't have money for it. Well, they have money for everything else. And they just think, so you play baseball. So some you make a play. But like I see, because one of my 10 jobs, I do teach children. And it's just that working together, and I just sports. Well, you're a rabbi in sports. Yeah, it just shows. Just that is an important thing that you can't learn from a book. Like exactly what you were saying, that's tipped off my mind, that working with someone, it's not just you and reading a book. You go to a library, you sit in a cubicle and read a book. Hey, there's other people around, and you work with other people, or use your imagination, use your other skills. And it just seems, that's why I say in society, it just seems, they're making computers out of people. People are people, and they're wholly faceted. Yeah, you surely use your intellect, but you just interact with other people. They look at their computers, they're at their Facebook. There's other people, and talk with them, and dialogue, what you get, I know, in acting. I did take acting lessons when I was a kid, you should know.
Did you?
Yeah, in Chicago.
Every rabbi needs to.
How about singing lessons? Did you take singing lessons?
Well, I should, but I do sing. No, actually, I was in my choir.
His children have beautiful voices.
Really?
I was in the choir in my synagogue, so the cantor gave me some, I wouldn't say singing lessons, but, tips, that kind of thing.
But, music, we all know when we deal in education, that music is very related to physics. People who tend to be good in music tend to be good in physics, sometimes mathematics. These are all related. Our brains are complicated. One thing I wanted to say is that one thing I've always enjoyed about the Judaic tradition is there's real value on words and thinking and interpreting. And these are not, they don't come naturally to some people. They have to be studied and appreciated and supported. And when someone is interested in the word, what it is on the paper, what it means, what it meant then, what it means now, there's a whole skill base that it takes to be able to do that kind of a work. And you're not necessarily going to get that by just tweeting. I mean, you might, but if you get people together to talk, to respect the word, in the theater the word is
Paramount.
the law.
Paramount, absolutely.
We can't change words the playwrights write. We're really bound by it. There's, and yet we have to interpret it. And so this person will interpret it this way, this person will interpret it that way. And all of those kinds of things that then help us in life. And I think, I mean, somebody said to me, what's your goal? And I said, world peace. And they went, no, really. And I said, no, really, world peace. creating people who think, who care, who understand humanity. These are the things that I think are important in my role as an artistic director in terms of the work that we put out there on our stage, that we create a community setting, that we encourage people to talk with one another in a respectful, collaborative way. These really matter to me. So I look for the things that bind us together, not take us apart.
Right. One thing I wanted to mention about getting back to STEAM and STEM and all that is that when, people don't realize how much the backroom work goes into it and building a set. And and all that. I mean, you really need to know the math and how to build. How to cut wood and have to be so precise that it's just right so it doesn't fall apart on stage. And
That's right.
So that STEM. I mean, everything goes into when you build a set. Every one of the STEM goes into.
That's correct.
Goes into when you do set and you go into figuring out how to sell tickets and figuring out how to fundraise and figuring out all the aspects that people that get people into the seats but people don't see.
That's correct.
And even the microphones and how loud and the
sound design
design. I mean, it's all critical and it's all part of STEM. And that's interesting. So that's why I think it should be STEAM. Because the arts really connect all of that.
That's good. Yeah, our set designers, when you look at their plans, they really look like plans that you would see from an architect building a house. They're construction drawings, they identify the materials, there's all the measurements, there's all the geometry, there's all of that that goes into the work that a set designer and then our construction houses do. The same thing is true of sound. I think of all of the things that have changed the most radically is probably sound. Because now you can get on a computer and figure out where the sound is going to bounce in the room and this and that, and it all goes into the sound design and where you point the speakers. Right. And then there's a whole other world of design, which is projections and lighting design. And this is all changed dramatically because of all of the technology that we now have. It's amazing.
You don't even need a band. You can, you can have pre-recorded music that will be on a CD, and you will still be in time with what's going on stage.
Yes.
Will it be just same quality though?
Yes.
We have not used recorded bands. Our bands are live, but sound effects are recorded and those kind of things that you just kind of take for granted. All of the ambient sounds. Sometimes a character in a drama has to sing, and that music behind that person might be recorded.
You know what I wanted to getting back to fundraising, because that's critical, like you were saying. Have you ever tried to go on these GoFundMe sites or the fundraising sites,
like the Kickstarter kind of things,
and see what you could do in terms of a new addition to CapRep to get money and to have people from around the world contribute?
I don't think that we have done that yet.
Well,
I know that my son got me to contribute to a Kickstarter on a project he was working on.
See?
But I think that a lot of nonprofits are doing things with having auctions online now and all kind of things. People are innovative.
Well, that's what you have to learn. You have to
learn how to do that, right?
Right?
Yeah, I'm behind the times on that.
Well, I'm just saying that's something, maybe a new idea that some of your younger folk could really could really help you with, and I always say, if you want someone to build a website for you, get someone who's under 15.
Exactly, right? And they just do it automatically.
They do it. They know how to do it. Like like you and I knew how to run an abacus. They know how to do that. So.
All right, Mark. Maggie, we're out of time.
Please don't give away all my secrets, Mark.
Maggie, we're out of time, but it was really enjoyable talking to you. And like I say,
both so
you're doing
much.
a lot of good work with the arts, and I think that's critical and not just luxury. That's what I was trying to bring out. It's critical for a society to have the city, and we have a lot of wealth in the Capital District, and you're one of them. So continue success in your work.
Yes,
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Mark.